Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mastering Drayage in the Digital Age, Real-Time Insights and New Integrations, presented by the Journal of Commerce by S&P Global. We would like to thank PortPro for partnering with us for this webcast. I'm Ariane Pepsin, Senior Associate Editor of Special Projects, and I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. Our speakers today are Toni and Careccio, Chief Customer at PortPro, and Lisa Wan, Executive Vice President of Operations at Roadex CY. I'll pass things over to them so they can introduce themselves and their companies.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Lisa and I are super excited to dive into this conversation. So PortPro is the fastest growing and largest drayage operating system or transportation management system in North America. We've been tripling year over year and service drayage trucking companies of all sizes, from 2 drivers all the way to 1,000 drivers. So me personally, as mentioned, I'm our Chief Customer Officer. I oversee our onboarding, support, and customer success teams to ensure our customers have a seamless implementation and just a premium A1 customer service experience.
Great. Hi everyone. Hi, Toni. Hi, Ariane. My name is Lisa Wan. I'm the Executive VP of Operation in Roadex. Roadex is a 22-year-old company. Our owner and founder, who started it as a 2 trucks in his garage kind of trucking company, and venture into, we have over 120 trucks today, and we are servicing mostly Long Beach, LA port, as well as Oakland. We are someone consider ourselves still fairly young and driven and want to make a change and want to better ourselves type of company. We're not static and we're not set in stone. We still want to develop something new, and applying technology to our industry is something we look forward to. Yeah, so we're excited for today's chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. All right, great. So I think we can dive into the next slide here. We actually have a poll that we want to ask the audience. So the question is, what type of business does your company operate? I think we just want to get a general sense for who's in the room. So if you select A, it means you operate a drayage trucking company. B, are you a BCO? C, are you a broker, freight broker, customs broker, forwarder? Or D, other. So if everyone can just take a minute here to submit your question, it would be really helpful for us in terms of just getting a better sense of who we are addressing. Okay, we're gonna give it another 30 seconds here. We have about 40% of attendees have submitted so far. Okay, we're at 60%. If everyone can select an option. $75, getting close, trying to get as close to that 100% number as possible. All right, perfect. So 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna switch over to the results here. Okay, perfect. So 20% of those in attendance are drayage carriers, almost 20% BCOs, almost 15% brokers, forwarders, and 42% others. I'd be super curious to hear who else is in the room, but thanks for submitting that, super helpful. All righty, next slide here. One more poll, and then we're going to jump into the conversation. What job function best describes your role? Are you in operations? Are you in billing, accounts receivable, accounts payable? Are you an owner of the company, of your company, or other? If everyone can select an option. So operations, if you're in, work for a drayage trucking company, are you in order entry, dispatch, billing, or do you do driver pay, accounts receivable? Okay, we're getting close, 70%. And perfect, almost everybody filled it out. We're gonna go next, show the results. Okay, perfect. So wow, almost half of those in the webinar are in operations. Nobody is in billing. Interesting. 13% are owners, and then 41% others. All right, great.
Awesome.
All righty, so would love to start off, Lisa. I know you gave an introduction on Roadex and an overview on yourself and the company, but would love to learn a little bit more about your goal as a company and your mission.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, we've been around for about 22 years. We tried LTL, we tried CFS, we tried different type of, transportation, warehousing. Then we found out that drayage, full container is really our forte, what we're best at doing. And we figure, okay, if we find our forte, how can we be the best in servicing this sector of the whole logistic, chain, right? So we're looking at how can we make ourselves best in terms of customer service, in terms of technology that we use, in terms of servicing the environment. So we believe that, we're in trucking, right? But trucking is essentially a customer service, a people service. We're not selling any physical product, we're selling our service. So for us, it's important that we want to make sure that we have solid customer service by starting with our employee. We want to hire someone who is happy coming to work, take pride of what they do. They want to make a difference in working in logistics, in trucking, and they are happy doing it. And we also want to show them that we're a company that we want to invest in technology to help them work smarter and not just harder. We want to show them that we are constantly putting back and investing into getting a newer, whether it's hardware equipment or as well as, changing a new TMS system or any other type of equipment that can help us become a more sophisticated and technology advanced savvy company. And of course, we also want to take care of our environment. We are investing in technology and our people in a way that we, instead of, asking our staff to print out papers like everywhere, or our drivers to carry paperwork, we are strongly, encouraging, everything goes electronic. Our drivers getting their tender through their electronic dispatch. Our office have multiple screens set up for our staff, so they don't have to print out everything. So yeah, we're someone who are still trying to better ourselves and wanting to, be on top of our game and make sure that we are investing back into the company to make it better.
Awesome. So it seems like, and I appreciate that oversight. Mm-hmm. One thing that I really got out of it is the goal to provide top tier customer service, which is actually my main focus as the Chief Customer Officer at PortPro. So obviously we always strive to provide the best customer service, but what made you realize that you could provide better customer service? Were you getting, feedback from your customers, or what kind of drove that goal for you?
Yes, so we are very much, so we want to find how do we differentiate ourselves, right, from any other trucking company, because there are so many truckers in the LA basin, just, from nationwide big players, as well as like small mom and pop, right, that can deliver a container for any customer. How do we differentiate ourselves from all the others, right? So we always listen to our customer and want to see what they tell us that we can improve. So one short story was when I was visiting a customer out in Valencia, in somewhere closer to the San Fernando Valley in LA. and last Christmas, around the Christmas holiday season. So this customer's warehouse have only 2 loading docks, and they are constantly looking for drivers to be there on time so that their warehouse team can offload, right? And they don't want someone sitting around the dock waiting, right? And so we know how crucial it is for them to get the containers in time. So every morning they will be asking us, either calling or by email, hey, what is ETA of my container? What's my ETA of your driver, right? So our customer service team keep answering those via phone call or email. So the customer told me that, hey, Lisa, you know what would be great is if you give me visibility to see my container and driver, similar to what I order my lunch on Uber Eats, and I can see where my drivers are and how soon I'm gonna get my lunch. So I was like, okay, that's a great idea. I don't think any trucker that I've come across, or the customer told us that they haven't met anyone in the market who are capable of doing that. So that triggers me to think, okay, customer expecting that type of visibility right now in the market, because they are comparing delivering a container to delivering their food, their lunch now.
Yeah.
So that triggers us to think, okay, how can we better our game, right? How can we stand out and create that visibility? And that started the whole, for us to start looking at better visibility and providing to our customer. Yeah.
Nice. So you kind of came to that conclusion just by meeting with your customers, talking to them,
Yes.
asking them what you could be doing to provide better customer service. So talking to your customers and constantly having that sort of dialogue with them is key.
Yes.
So you realize that by giving your customer that sort of visibility, the same way they have with, their food or final mile delivery, that could set you on this path of providing better customer service, right? So at that point, what did you do internally? Did your current TMS not give you that ability to provide tracking or that sort of visibility? And where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so once we realize the customer needs that type of visibility, we look at our existing system to see if there's some sort of enhancement that we can do. However, it's not the quickest and it's not the easiest, because we were previously in a more legacy type of TMS system. So we even hire a consultant to see, like, what if we have to build something on top of our previous TMS to just show visibility. And we're still seeing a lot of lagging, a lot of, like, you have to get from one system to another to talk to each other. And we start even thinking, hey, how about we build our own, right? So we're in the trucking industry. We're not in technology, but we have that big idea, right? So we asked the consultant, hey, help us plan out, what if we're going to build our own TMS? What would it be, right? In terms of cost, in terms of labor, in terms of time frame, and return on investment, right? Then quickly we come to realization that, like, okay, it's not for us. We better stay focused in doing our own trucking and let someone else do good at, technology and building a TMS. So then we move into our next step, which is, looking at what is in the market, right? Because the previous TMS that we use, we have been working with them for almost a decade. So we wanted to see what is new in the market. So we have been interviewing different type of TMS in the market, from someone who's like more a legacy based to someone who's more cloud based, and we wanted to see what is available now that we haven't shopped around for a TMS for 10 years. What is out there now? So that's how or when we come across PortPro.
Nice. And so when you say legacy system, you primarily mean systems that have been around for a long time, that are most likely server-based as opposed to web-based systems, right? Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so this is an interesting question. I think this is the last poll. I promise we won't be asking a ton of questions throughout this webinar. But last question is, how does your organization managing dispatching loads? Are you running on Google Sheets or Excel? Are you running on a server-based system, TMS software, like Lisa was just mentioning with her last system that she used? Or are you really old school and still running manually using paper? or other using something else. If everyone can just take a minute and select an option. And while everyone's doing that, so this is kind of what you were just talking about, Lisa, where you were, you were running on a server-based TMS system to dispatch your loads and really do everything within the company, and realize that it's not the most efficient way of, of running the company and giving you that platform to be able to provide that sort of visibility. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what everyone here answers with. Okay, we're about 60% of attendees. Lisa, do you want to take a guess here on who, what's going to be the number one
people
choice?
Are doing Google Sheets. I've come across quite a bit of truckers that are still running on Google Sheets. And, it's technically almost free and it's easy to train. So I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, it also has a lot of limitations when you want to grow.
Yeah. I think A is going to be the biggest choice here. Okay. We're at 62% of attendees. If everyone else can select. All right. Here we go. Wow. Server-based TMS software makes up over 50%. Interesting.
So very much like in my shoes previously. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, cool. Next. So as you mentioned, Lisa, you hired a consultant, just, evaluated what that would represent to build your own in-house TMS. You realized that you guys should focus on what you do best, which is drayage. So you went out, researched a bunch of companies, ended up choosing PortPro. What made Roadex, after evaluating all the different options, or maybe the limited number of options on the market, what made you choose PortPro to help with achieving your goal of providing that next level customer service to your customers?
Yeah, a few different factors. When we were interviewing different TMS, of course, we talked to PortPro, we talked to Michael, I talked to a few of, people who are in the senior management team in PortPro. The same goal and same idea I got from them is they want to build the best TMS in the market. And they are all working towards that goal, which amazed me of, the leadership between, within the executive team in PortPro really drive down to everybody in the company having the same goal, is to building a better product. And which does, it's just similar to my situation. I have to listen to my customer telling me they need their visibility, right? So PortPro's team is willing to listen to our customer, like throughout our, I think about 1 month-ish that we are doing onboarding, and 2 weeks that your PortPro's onboarding team and training team were on site. They were listening. We're finding out stuff that like we think better feature that fits for us, and you guys are putting those features in place like within that 1 month, within that training period. Sometimes we see those features put in place sooner than the implementation manager can tell us. So we're like, oh, that's awesome. That's like, you guys are so quick in, so willing to listen and so quick in putting things in action. I think that really amazed us when we're doing the, implementation. But mostly it's really the team's spirit of like wanting to build a best TMS. I think it's something that you see. You have to, not just the owner have that mentality, but everybody around him or the entire company having that same idea, push the company to do better.
Yeah, and it seems like it aligns very well with your goals of, the best drayage trucking company in the, in the market you service.
Yeah, I think our company culture fit well with each other as well, like wanting to build something, understanding throughout the building process, we have to work with each other, right? Like neither of us are perfect, but we will make each other better. I think the company culture fit really make us work well, so well with each other. And also, the constant development, like I mentioned earlier, even we've been with PortPro for only about 2 months that we're live using you guys, but we see we just see the new features, we see the new technology that you guys put into your system. And even some of the things are not so much, for just Roadex, it's like for the entire trucking community, like for example, the new appointment automation process that you guys are building out for the entire trucking community is like first in the industry that, a TMS actually have that function that we're able to now get appointments without having someone sit in front of the computer to constantly check terminal website. So that's something that we see, and it excites us to use too, because with a previous, like more legacy type of company, they may not be able to roll out so many new updates or new features for us to play with. And now with PortPro, we see these new features asking us to beta test on different type of things among the TMS system. Is exciting to see, how technology can help us do our work now, not just like putting a body in front of your computer.
Yeah, and I think that that's also a benefit of a web-based system versus obviously server-based, right? Is that we are able to take our customer feedback, see what makes the most sense for the long-term vision of the product and vision of how we're going to help our carriers be the best carriers. And then when we deploy new products, which as you mentioned, we are doing or new features or enhancements every 2 weeks, it gets rolled out to everyone on this, on the system, and not just a specific instance. A specific instance, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and another aspect we love is, we learn about the visibility that PortPro is able to provide with your customer portal, that you can literally, show our customer, hey, when you log in, you can see your truck moving on this green arrow, like with your container, right? That's something that I think when we first got exposed to it and see the demo from PortPro, we were amazed. And then now when we're doing this customer portal training demo to our customer, they were amazed. So we even had a customer, they were so amazed by this feature with the green arrow moving. They sent us a little meme showing like Patrick from SpongeBob and showing like, I'm seeing a container being delivered. I mean, when was the last time you see a container being delivered a customer gets so excited. So that actually makes us really happy. Yeah. And also the bigger customer, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And as also the bigger type of customer who wants the API, the more advanced level of connectivity, like they mostly have their own, say the BCO, they have their own proprietary system, tracking of containers or, the POs inside the containers. They want to have visibility that not just someone sending them a report 3-4 times a day, right? Like they want live, they want or close to live updates. They want to see when containers being delivered and they want to see like where about is their container. So I think a lot of the BCO customers also ask us, hey, now that you have a new TMS, what is the connectivity? Like, can we do integration? So that's a big aspect to help us be ahead of our game as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So the visibility of the customers' containers and having that connectivity. It's like a lot of the old school way of connecting customers to carriers was done through EDI. And now with our web-based system, we have these open APIs where we're able to, give you that sort of connectivity to your customer and actually be more scalable than, EDI connections. So it's exciting to see the industry transform in this way. So old school that it's like, it's nice to take it into the next generation. Cool. So let's go to the next slide here. So I guess from your perspective, I think we have a good understanding of why you chose PortPro. It'd be interesting to hear like how has been the what's not only been the impact, but also the reaction, both internally and externally. So like internally meaning how have your drivers reacted, your operations team, your billing team, and then from an external perspective, your customers. I know you mentioned that they sent you a meme, they love the customer portal, they really love the visibility, but overall, what's been the perception both internally and externally?
Yeah, sure. Let me talk about internally. Our team, from driver management to accounting to ops, and they all enjoy being on a modern and technology type of TMS. In terms of our drivers have been using tablet previously, on our TMS, so they're already comfortable using a tablet to update their loads, to accept their tender and whatnot. With PortPro in place, we actually host a 1 week full of training just focused on our drivers to let them know, the different features. It is a dispatched electronically, but like all the other things they can do, it's a easier workflow for them to view, easier not to confuse them with what buttons to click. They can see, they can take pictures and upload those PODs. As well as, we advise them that any type of information that they update or upload on their using their tablet, the customer as well as our dispatch team can view them now. So we tell them, make sure that when you take a picture of, if you have a hard copy POD, make sure that you take a clean picture that it can show everything. So drivers are very excited in a way that they know we are investing into technology, a better TMS to help them do their job better. So it's more of training them to, hey, instead of this, app, you now use this app. And eventually our goal is to, working with PortPro, we want to eliminate all the other, like say chat or text messages and just use PortPro within PortPro to be able to communicate with our drivers. So I think
So consolidation, that sort of communication.
yeah. So I think the less apps that drivers have to sign into to work, the better for them. So yeah, I think they're truly enjoying and seeing us making this investment for customer service. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really quick on the topic of drivers,
Yes.
before we continue on, what about the do your drivers have the ability to view their settlements on the driver app
Yes.
currently, and what's been the reaction like that? And then my last question on the drivers, after implementing the app, have the drivers spent less time essentially making trips to the office? Because now you mentioned, everything is scanned in.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of driver spending or coming in and out of the office, like they now be able to, like, they don't have to stop by the office on a daily basis to turn in the paperwork, and someone else in our office have to physically take that paperwork and scan into our system, so it will have visibility to our customers. So we do tell our drivers that, hey, now that instead of coming into the office, collecting your paperwork, turning them in, I just want you to make sure that, remember, after each transaction, make sure you take pictures and upload. Then even though you lose your paperwork, you still have something in trails showing that you have done the load at this time, and or the in-gate out-gate ticket. So one thing I also appreciate what PortPro is doing is, besides the driver's in-gate out-gate ticket, you guys also get the interchange from the terminals. So a lot of customers, they may see the driver's in-gate tickets sometimes are not the most clear to read. So, the exchange tickets from the terminal website also was super helpful to our customer. A lot of our customer previously having to ask our billing team for this backup, where now they can easily access. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then you also mentioned drivers viewing their pay and their and the settlement. We're rolling that function out little by little. That is something that can motivate a driver. But we also don't want driver to just simply look at dollar amount and go after that, because we want them to consider safety the first. We want to consider doing the job right the first, right? So, but that settlement visibility to drivers, or sometimes, for owner operators they can see how much they're gonna get paid for each load, is super helpful. And it's black and white. Hey, I'm giving you this load and I'm paying you this amount, and you accepted it, meaning, hey, we have an agreement in place. So that is something is super helpful for our driver management team and for our account payable team.
Awesome. And then how about your dispatchers? How long have your dispatchers been with you, first of all, right? Like, are they so used to running on the previous system?
Yes.
And like, how has their job been impacted, and how have they been doing with this like transition?
Yeah, so most of our dispatchers have been with us like I would say 5 years plus. So they are very accustomed to the, the previous TMS that, the way they read the shipments, the way the shipments are displayed. But once they got, a taste of PortPro, they see how quick, how fast a web-based system can react and respond. They all love it. Like, of course, it's a different way of reading a shipment or reading a life cycle of a shipment, right? Comparing the two systems, but it's something that we managed to tell them, or the expectation to understand. It's not that this whatever showing in each system is wrong. It's just a different way that they're showing, or different filter or different criteria we're capturing. So you're seeing it differently. And the way to dispatch, I think it now with PortPro, they're allowed to look at the driver's planner tab that shows like the driver's entire day of work, and they can plan out a driver's entire day of work and moving them in orders if need, more than, if it's a more one-off basis, at time when drivers are finished, then what is his next load, right? So I think that helps our dispatch team in a way that like they can plan the day out. They can plan our drivers next move or next 2, 3, 4 moves versus just like dispatching on spot. Yeah.
Awesome. And then how about externally? What's been the impact to your customers?
So our customers are, like I mentioned, I think the most when we're telling customer, hey, customer, we have a new TMS. We would love to show you. So customer usually come back with, oh, okay, I'll give you like 10, 15 minutes, see what you have, right? So we show them, and we try. Most of them are so wowed by the live tracking function. So some of them, we show them to a few people in the organization about how they can look at all the containers that are, once they send us the deal, we enter in our system, they can see all the containers, whether they're on freight hold or line hold, they can see all of those steps without going to track each of them at the terminal website or asking the custom broker. So that's one aspect. Then the warehouse portion of the customer can go in and see, okay, Roadex scheduled these to pick up today, and I'm going to expect to receive them, right? And for the ones that are live offload, they love the live tracking. Once they say it, they're wow, like they were saying so many truckers had like promise or tell them they can do it, but none have showed them actually in real life how it works and show them the little green arrow that's moving. So once a few of the companies, individuals get a taste of it and see some of what PortPro's customer portal can provide, they were like, okay, I'm going to tell you to talk to these other teams in the company. They need this visibility as well. So they would just help us spread the word with like their coworkers in the company and tell them that, hey, you guys need to get on Roadex customer portal with PortPro because it gives you so much more visibility versus you have to wait on, every 4 hours of the day, you need to get a report. So that's
such a competitive advantage, right? That Roadex has being able to provide that sort of visibility to your customers, especially in like a down market post-pandemic where volumes have come back down and now it's more shifted to focused on sales, like being able to use that customer portal to provide value to your customers, but then also be able to use that to pitch to your prospects, I think is a huge win. So now my next question for you is something that I'm just personally like super passionate about. As mentioned, like overseeing, one of the groups I oversee is our onboarding team. Onboarding a system is not, it could be challenging, right? I think we've done a really good job with providing a very structured and personal, hands-on onboarding experience for our customers. It's something that we take really seriously, and we're always trying to provide the best onboarding experience so that the implementation is seamless and it doesn't feel like such a burden and undertaking. But I think a big reason why Roadex had a really successful implementation is because you have like owned the project start to finish, right? You were like a positive role model in the company that was owning the system being deployed into your operations. And you just like did a really great job with change management, right? So my question is, what's like the biggest piece of advice that you can give to companies of all sizes to properly implement a system? Because I think you just did such a great job with it internally.
Yeah, thank you. I have a great team, so I can share my own experience first, and I can give some advice for like smaller truckers. So for us at Roadex, I really have to give kudos to my team from IT team collecting the data from the previous system for us to upload into the new PortPro, our accounting team, our driver management team, and our ops team. I think for me, one thing that's important is it's not a system that only Lisa says is great, let's move. I want to get all of my team leaders buy-in. So before we decide to move forward with PortPro, actually all my team leaders are able to get a taste and learn about what PortPro can do for each of the individual team. I'm not an expert in accounting. I'm not an expert in training drivers. So I need my leaders to actually help us determine, hey, is this a better move for us as a whole, right? So I think getting the buy-in from each of your team leader and letting them know, having them, have a say, understanding what our overall goal is and what the individual responsibility is for their team. For example, when we get drivers on, hey, the driver manager will have to make sure that all the drivers are scheduled to come in to train, to get the training, right? Our accounting manager, Marlene, she actually have to make sure her team understand how we now can use PortPro to upload all different kinds of customized customer billing rates, right? So there it has to be a big teamwork, kind of like everybody working towards the goal, but everyone is responsible for the individual team, making sure it's success for us to bring close, a successful result for a project. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have a big team that supports this goal and make the transition super simple. And for me, I also set their expectation up front, letting them know that we are going in with PortPro together. We know they are not going to be the perfect TMS. They're not going to have all the bells and whistles that you guys ask or we want. But our main understanding is, hey, we're going to work with each other. We're going to build each other's company better. Whatever feedback we have given back to PortPro will take into consideration to build a better product, which will benefit us. So I think setting up the expectation right with all the teammates is also important, that letting them know they are not changing to a super perfect TMS. They are changing to a better TMS. So it's going to get a little harder before it gets easier, but we're all willing to go down the path together. Yeah.
And so what do you think about companies that are smaller, right? That like don't have an IT department or leads? What sort of recommendation would you give to them?
To me, I still think it's important to get a feel of the core, like either it's from operation or billing, someone who's core in your company to work with you, at least like one or two person who sort of understand why you're wanting to make this change, how is it going to benefit the company. It's important to have like some co-workers that you can bounce off ideas, right? Because there's so many times that, I just come up with an idea and bounce off someone and they make my idea much better. So I think it's important it's not a one person sole decision. At least it have to be like 2 or 3 people that understand the company well enough to make such decision and understand that it's not that they're not going to be like jump from, mediocre to like perfect, but it's going to get better as they go.
Yeah. I think after we've been through now over 400 implementations of PortPro system, and just looking at like the most successful implementations, it always starts with someone owning the project, like you said, right? Like someone making sure that they are going to see the implementation through start to finish. They are there to assign certain people to help with certain things or take control over, you know, scheduling the driver training or doing different functions. So owning that, but then also like staying positive, like you kind of said, and just setting the proper expectations and communication, just having that dialogue, reminding your team, like, hey, I know this is challenging right now because we're going through an implementation and it's you know, it's a transition phase for us, but this is going to be better in the long run. It's going to allow us to have more, give us better visibility to our customers so we can, you know, stop doing a lot of these tedious tasks and really focus on expanding the relationships we have with our customers, and do all these different things, improve our, you know, just improve every single department, you know, not have to scan in paperwork anymore and all these things, right? So it's like just constantly communicating the value of like why you chose the software in the first place, I think is really important. So having that person own it, set the expectations, communicate, and drive the project forward while staying positive is really key to a successful implementation.
Yeah,
so it's been
our team, you know, we've been in about 2 months now. Our team from, you know, starting to use it, getting used to it, use it and become more comfortable, and now coming up with like some feature requests that they think they can, you know, want that will help them do better. That is amazing to see, you know, how the, you know, the change in them when you know they're going through that hurdle and then achieving like the success, and then now they are showing customer the portal, the visibility, and how happy we make the customer. And it's a reflection on, you know, getting the right tool and, you know, letting them do the right job. So yeah, they're taking pride of, you know, our entire community taking pride of making this change and allowing us to show more. Yeah.
awesome. That's great. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yes.
Okay, so questions for the audience. So we didn't want to make this like a super long, dragged out webinar. We wanted to leave at least, you know, 15, 20 minutes for questions from the audience.
Hi, everybody. So let's go through the few questions that have come in. Just an additional reminder, if you haven't submitted a question yet, you can still do so. So the first question we got was, how are your customers receiving the change in technology? So Toni, Lisa, whichever one of you would like to give your response to that.
I guess I'll give my perspective. I know, Lisa, you already mentioned your customers. I think that, as Lisa mentioned early on, a lot of companies are still running on Google spreadsheets and Excel, or a lot of drayage trucking companies are on Google spreadsheets and Excel. And they're kind of starting to see like there's a disadvantage there. And especially after the pandemic, like when volume spiked and everything was so busy for trucking companies, it's like companies were like, okay, we need some sort of technology because we need to be able to run more efficiently, know where our containers are, know when they're coming in, and have that oversight. And Google spreadsheets just weren't cutting it, right? So I think, you know, companies are more and more, you know, we're getting a lot of inbound. I think companies are finally getting to that point where they're realizing they need technology in order to kind of stay competitive.
Yeah, for us, our customers are mostly like BCOs or large freight forwarders, right? Like I mentioned, you know, some of these customers, when we show them the customer portal, they say, okay, it's a great tool for our warehouse. But the next question they ask right away is, what about integration? Can you integrate with our system, right? So I think being with PortPro, that, you know, they have open API that just opens up more doors and for us to be able to work with these larger size companies that are having their own proprietary system or their own system. They're not the one who's going to go to, another website or another company's website to check for the containers. They want everything to be feedback to them and in a more close to like live timely manner. So they're expecting these. They're expecting real life data being feedback to them. Yeah.
And another question that we had was what are the expectations of BCOs or brokers today versus in the past?
I can take this question. So similar to what I just mentioned, I think a lot of the BCOs and brokers today now expecting information to be there, readily available for them, feedback into the system. Some of these customers, they don't even want us to set up any report to send to them. They don't have time, they don't have people to read these spreadsheet or report. They are staying away from, just getting reports that they have to read or open a spreadsheet. They're looking for information that will seamlessly like go back to the system, letting them know when a container has been picked up and a container when it was delivered and so forth. So I think their expectation is that for their trucker is they want the truckers to be able to provide such fast-paced information to them without them having to chase. Yeah.
If Toni doesn't have anything to add, those were all the questions.
The next question. I want to. Okay. I think there's another couple questions I want to make sure we get through.
Okay. The next one was, how did you get the drivers to adopt the app?
Just tell them that they won't get paid if they're not on it. I mean, well, honestly, our driver to us is a bit more fortunate because our driver have already been using a tablet. But honestly, I think most of the drivers, when they see the trend of technology going into trucking, right, they cannot continue to rely on a piece of paper, that shows they deliver and carry that paper back to our office. When they see what we have been doing, across the board over the years, how we're investing into technology, getting drivers on the app is just a natural path. Right? We told our driver, hey, if you can order food using your phone, you should be able to update a container using the app. So it's not something that they need to go through, school or whatnot to understand. It's actually very intuitive, and we give them training. And if some drivers who are less technology savvy, we'll continue to give them refresh training course. So we want to make sure that they are on board, and we tell them that this is something that will be keeping track of their workload, their kind of replace the manifest that shows everything that they did. So if they are not using the app, we have no way of telling, and we cannot constantly looking at paperwork anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said earlier about communicating with all employees, right? Like that includes communicating with the drivers. And that includes telling the drivers, hey, we're doing this internally so that we can be the best trucking company, operate super efficiently, eliminate a lot of these tedious tasks of scanning all your paperwork, right? And instead focus on providing an incredible customer service to our customers so that we can keep you guys busy on the road, right? And this is not really an ask of whether or not to use the app. It's like, if you're going to work with Roadex and be a part of this company, then it's a requirement, as it is for everyone else in the company to use the system.
Yeah. One key thing when we train our drivers is we told our drivers that, hey, now when you're having the container on you, you're delivering a container, not only the dispatchers can see your location, our customer who owns the product in that container can also see you. So we told the driver, hey, be careful where you're going because everybody can see you now. You have that much visibility out there now. So yeah, they all understand. They know they're carrying someone's product that they need to deliver at a certain time at a place, correctly without, going around and thinking that they can hide. No more hiding. Yeah.
But the good thing with the system, I think, is that you're only tracking a driver's location when they're assigned to a load, right? Like we're not tracking a driver's location at all times. It's when they're assigned to a load is when that customer is able to see where they are. So sometimes drivers get a little bit nervous about us having visibility, to that point, but I think that's a good note to make.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm seeing a question. Does Lisa utilize a WMS, a warehouse management system? And is her company able to integrate with PortPro? She mentioned that her customers integrate, but I'd like to know if she integrates with her own WMS if she has one.
We are not big in warehousing. The warehouse stuff we do is more transloading. So we don't have a WMS ourselves. But I can tell you that we have a customer, we're currently doing integration with their yard management system to feed back into PortPro once the empties are being updated in the yard management system. So I'm pretty sure that, any type of integration, I think we need to lay out the scope of work to see like what you actually wanted to integrate with PortPro. If you use a WMS, you want to see when the container arrived, when the container has been empty and ready to return. That's certainly something that I see is doable. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one beautiful thing about PortPro and other, web-based systems is that, well, not all web-based systems, but PortPro, we have our open API. So you can do whatever integrations that you want to do with your data. You can integrate into your WMS, you can integrate into an ERP, you can integrate into an accounting system. You can do really whatever integrations that you want, which is pretty cool. Let's see here.
Yeah, can I answer this question from one of the audience? What happened if the web-based TMS goes down? And I can tell you, this is one question I've asked Michael when the first time I met him, what is the outage of your system? And I believe he said it's less than 0.01% of the entire time since PortPro has been up. So for us, the past 2 months, we've been on it. Well, we've been on it longer, but we just went live past 2 months. The system has been super stable. We have not had any issues that we cannot log in or crash or not showing data and whatnot. So I think I'm quite comfortable with it. And same goes to our drivers. If there's any issue, it's most likely to do with the internet connectivity or the cell phone reception, but not with the PortPro website itself. Yeah.
Yep. I second that. The system is super stable, and in the several years I've been there, I don't think I've ever seen it. I don't think I've ever seen it go down or anything.
I remember Michael mentioned you guys have a couple of backup plans to go live to in case if it goes out or something. So yeah, I think that's good. Right? Mm-hmm.
All right. Does this require proprietary GPS tracking system, or can it work with the current system? So we utilize for the driver tracking, we use their phones or tablets, their location services. So once they're dispatched a load, it begins tracking based on their current location. That being said, we are in the process of integrating with 22 different ELDs where we're going to be starting to bring in the longitude and latitude of the truck. But again, if there's a specific system in which you're looking to do an integration with, we can do that because we offer open APIs. Let's see here. We're getting lots of questions. Have you noticed more companies moving away from EDI? Yes, we have.
Yeah.
I think API is more. It's not, EDI is really like a one-to-one connection, whereas like API is just more scalable. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of companies move away from EDI and more towards API. What have you been seeing on that front, Lisa, like with your customers?
Yeah, same here. We do have a couple of customers who have been around for a longer time, and they are more well established. They are still going the EDI way of sending us orders or receiving milestones, but any of the newer tech savvy companies, they're all switching to API way more. It's easier to get information and even easier to just make any type of integration or connection than an EDI, more of a one-way feeding. Yeah.
Let's see here. Does this tie in rate quoting, or is the system mainly for the day-to-day operations? So it's not for quoting to prospects. There is a quoting functionality within the system. And if you are giving your customers access to the customer portal, they actually can see and see those quotes as well directly from their customer portal. So there is a quoting function within the system. Let's see here. Any other questions from the audience? We have about 5 minutes. Oh, do you charge your BCO customers a fee to use the portal? No, that's the beauty of it. We do not. There's no fee for the BCO. So the trucking company like Roadex, for example, has the ability to give their customers a portal free of charge.
Yeah, so we don't charge our customers when we give them a login to their portal to view their shipments. We consider it part of our good service that, what customers are looking for. So yeah, we don't charge them.
Okay, let's see here. A few more minutes. Any other questions? Going once, twice.
So I have a question here. I think we missed to answer. Is this does the benefit piece of the dray carriers are working with using your system? So one thing I also want to point out is when I know in PortPro, if they're Roadex and there's another trucker who both use PortPro to service this BCO, the BCO can actually see both the shipments that they dispatch to both truckers. So for that BCO, they can log into PortPro and see, okay, these are the shipments that Roadex is handling for me, and these are the ones that the other truckers are handling for me as well. So I think that gives them the overall view without having to, go to different systems, looking at different things. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a beautiful part about being web-based and we have something called PortPro Connect, which is like, as I was mentioning earlier, with our open APIs. So we have the ability to connect Lisa at Roadex, for example, her Drayage system with her customers' either ShipOS system, which is a PortPro product for brokers, forwarders, or connect her with her customers, ERP, whatever system that they're currently using, and actually do a connection there. And that way, that customer can actually tender loads over to Lisa, for example, in her Drayage instance, and have that full visibility. So that connection is something that we also offer. And I think that is all of the questions. We really appreciate everyone's time today. I don't know if our contact information is up here. This is our website.
I'm just gonna hop in, Toni. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Lisa and Toni, it was great hearing from you and all of your insights. Just so everyone's aware, this webcast will be available on demand within 24 to 48 hours. You'll receive an email reminder. For more information related to today's webcast, including where you can leave us your evaluation, please visit the resource links in the webcast console. Thank you all so much for attending Master Drayage in the Digital Age, Real-Time Insights and New Integrations, presented by the Journal of Commerce by S&P Global. Thank you again to PortPro for partnering with us for this webcast, and thanks again to Toni, Ann, and Lisa for a great presentation and discussion. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.